The guy that I really want to talk about is the one that's on everybody's mind this morning, which is Mitch Marner. Unacceptable efforts in games 3 and 4. I thought Mitch was much better in 5 and in 6. But,
he wasn't a dominant player, but he was a positive contributor.
And last night, and I remember saying it to Natalie, and then Kelly Ruda brought it up in the intermission. Mitch Marner had a straight shot sideways to the net. Mm-hmm. And instead of driving the net, like I've been saying forever, drive the net, Mitch, he goes around the net and tries a funny little backhand pass.
Swayman giveaway.
This
Swayman giveaway.
This happens every single time Mitch Marner touches the puck. And there's another instance where he feeds a pass to Joel Edmondson, and he does a whole bunch of dipsy doodles through the neutral zone. And it takes forever for him to get this puck to Joel Edmondson. And eventually he gets the puck there, and he makes this shot. And then it's just right into the middle of Swayman. But like, this is what Mitch Marner is. And I think he's stealing money from the Toronto Maple Leafs, because what is the money for? The money is to show up. It's to perform. It's to be the captain. It's to be a leader. And he does none of those things. He's not a $10.9 million player. What did you just say about his game?
Perimeter player.
He was a great contributor.
No, he was a good contributor.
Good contributor.
He wasn't great.
Not great.
But not great.
He's the Leafs in a nutshell. He's good, not great.
It's the Mad Men quote. That's what the money is for. And the money for him is to show up and be great. And he has never done that. So he's not worth the money that he has. He's not worth the position he has on the team.
You can isolate
having the A. You're so right about that. What he has been billed as, he has never lived up to it, and it's time to move off of that.
Now, you can isolate a game or a play. Like I was at the game where Mitch Marner in pre-COVID against Boston blocked a shot at the end of the game.
Game 3, 2019.
And he was unbelievable, and that was great. You can ISO that game. You can ISO, was it game 2 versus Tampa? Game 2 or game 3 versus Tampa? The first 3 games versus Tampa last year.
Real good.
Lots of points.
Sure.
And maybe that game 2 against Florida.
No, it was game 4.
Where they won. Oh, game 4. Why do I get that mixed up? Regardless, outside of that, let's see what he's done. And I'm going to give you some stats to back up Jesse. And by the way, if you're a fan and you're not a fan of the Leafs, imagine your player, your best player, your second highest paid player with stats like these. Actually, sorry, third, because he's slightly behind.
Third, soon to be fourth.
And asking, by the way, he'll be asking for a raise starting July 1st. This is this player.
Oh, hold on.
This is a stats from Mike Stevens of the Staff and Graph podcast, who I was talking to last night and this morning. You will not believe what I'm about to tell you.
I probably will.
The goal in game 4.
I think we will believe it.
The goal in game 4, Mitch, the through the legs goal, to put the Leafs down only 3-1.
Yeah, it was a nice goal.
Yeah,
very nice
all-star goal. Shelby, what is it? What's the Simpsons? It's like, isn't there like a? Oh no,
what? Oh, and Chris Paul cuts the lead to 42.
Yeah, it was one of those. Yeah. It was crazy. That is the first time he's ever scored a goal from game 4 or beyond in a series in his entire career.
Like, what are we doing here?
Yo.
I told Mike, I'm like, did you double check that? And he's like, well, yeah. And he's like, well, now you're making me doubt it. I'm like, okay. And then here's the other one.
I'm almost positive Mitch Marner scored in game 6 in 2018.
See, there you go. Well, 2018.
Yeah.
Well, there's been a while.
But you still said with any time.
Okay. Well, then fine.
Correct. Yeah.
Fine then. Since 2018.
Do you want me to check?
Please.
Okay.
Here's one thing we do know. In game 4s and beyond, he's played 12 games. He has 6 points, all of them assists, except for the 1 goal in 2018. Guys, this player, we kept asking. We did it before the Tampa series last year. We did it before the Tampa series before that, because the series before that had been Montreal, and it had really highlighted the fact that this player may not have a game that translates to the postseason.
And that's exactly it. It's in the regular season, there is more room. The way Mitch Marner plays, and he can put up 85 to 99 points in the regular season. But when it gets to the playoffs, he holds the puck for too long. He's still trying to play that game, and it doesn't work anymore.
No.
And you can't pay a guy $10.9 million for the games that matter. Like, it's ridiculous that they're still paying him to this point because Kyle Dubas would have moved him ahead of his no movement clause kicking in last
Shanny
year.
didn't want to move.
And Shanny didn't let him do it, so he fired his ass.
So
and they would have moved on from this player who can't perform in the playoffs.
here's something that you should know, because I'm getting a lot of bullshit tweets from the media out there, and I love all these people. This is not
Sounds like it.
I'm not taking a shot. The shot is that this is lazy. Okay? Here's my what you're going to hear a lot of is, well, I went on Cap Friendly and I found out that Mitch Marner has a no move clause. Boy, the Leafs are sure painted into a corner. Now it's time to lay the cards on the table.
Utah's a corner?
Jonas Siegel. If not after the Montreal series, it felt like it was time for Marner after last season. He said all the right things about wanting to be a Leaf, to stay a Leaf, but throughout this past season, he's looked a lot like someone who wasn't enjoying all that comes with being with the Leaf. The pressure, the scrutiny, the criticism, the relentless demand for more. Marner's poor start to the season was notable for how joyless he appeared, how devoid of enthusiasm and energy. He might be just as ready for a change as the Leafs are. He was prepared for the possibility last summer. I'm going to repeat the last sentence. He was prepared for the possibility last summer. If you don't think that this player will waive his no-move clause, you're out of your mind. Don't listen to any of the guys, because listen, it's not like we haven't heard these rumors too. There's plenty that we hear that we can't say. I'll say it now. I've heard multiple times that this player would have been more than ready to move on last summer. This year, he's got more control. This year, and this is where I think Shanahan has to forfeit his job. Because this mistake is enormous. Kyle Dubas was ready. And yes, I know Kyle made a power play for it, whatever. You still could have brought in Treliving and you still could have moved Marner. So put Kyle Dubas to the side. But Kyle did admit publicly that it was time. Shanny didn't believe it was time. And so despite the unparalleled regular season success of the Shannon Plan era, and it has been, you can't say it hasn't been.
Regular season success.
Regular season success.
Underscore that.
It's been the greatest run of regular season hockey Leaf fans have probably ever had.
And that's left us so happy.
We're thrilled. Listen to my voice. Guys, this player's ready to go. But the problem for Brad, for Brendan, if he's still here, and for anybody else in that management group that is still left over from the Dubas era, and by the way, that's all of them. None of them were let go.
Except for Spezza.
Spezza, yes, Spezza's there, and then Doan's in.
Who took his ball and ran
over to Pittsburgh. I'm going to go Pittsburgh and miss the playoffs. I will tell you that this player is probably ready to go, and that moving him with a no-move clause is not going to be the issue. The issue is going to be where. And for anybody that's like, well, the Leafs might not get what they want, guys, $11 million against the cap. Why is it? How many times does Chris Johnson, how many times does Elliot Friedman, these guys who really know what they're talking about, right? The best minds in the game in the media side. How many times does a general manager, an agent, or somebody in the league have to tell them, and then them tell everybody else, which is what's going on, right? Mm-hmm. That cap space is more important than draft picks, and it's more important than getting somebody back. Ladies and gentlemen, if you get nothing, and they won't, they're going to get something back, and it's going to be good. If this trade, when this trade happens, because I think it's happening, when this trade happens, the Leafs will get something good back, and they'll get the more important thing. They're going to get cap space. They're going to have to spend it wisely, which is where Calgary Flames fans have a lot to say about Treliving.
It might be the best thing that ever happened to Mitch.
It might be.
Oh, yeah.
This might be, sometimes relationships run their course. This is a good person who has done charity, is great with the kids, does all these things that you would want an athlete to do. But sometimes you're just like, you know what? I'm tired of being here. I'm tired of the way all of your breath smells.
Let's not talk out of both sides of our mouth. Let me say this. We have a show that you are the co-host of called Agent Provocateur. Adam, how did Agent Provocateur come to be?
I wanted to have, I saw Alan on Tim and Sid. I thought he should have a show. CJ ran into him at the Stanley Cup Finals, one of the Stanley Cup Finals in Tampa. I think it was the COVID one or the post-COVID one. and said, hey, I got a guy who wants to call you. Do you mind if he does?
But even before that, you said, Steve, I have an idea. And you ran it by me. And what did I tell you?
You tell me what you said. I can't remember. I have a terrible memory.
Adam, you're out of your mind. Why did I say you were out of your mind? What was the most recent conversation we had on the podcast about Alan Walsh?
About the
sword.
The sword.
The sword thing. So for those of you who don't know, Alan Walsh posted a picture of Marc-Andre Fleury during the playoffs with a sword through Fleury's back. There was blood. It was a great picture. And the sword said DeBoer on it. Because DeBoer was Marc-Andre Fleury's coach. And what I said during that show is, you know what? We can all act like Alan's going rogue here. He works for Marc-Andre. If Marc-Andre didn't agree with this, if he wanted it taken down, it would get taken down. And it was up for a long time. And that was a point that I stuck to. Austin Matthews signed a 5-year contract with the Toronto Maple Leafs February 5th, 2019. Darren Ferris spoke to the Toronto Star February 5th, 2019.
That would be Mitch's agent, for anybody that doesn't know.
The same damn day, said, that's probably the best contract in the National Hockey League, said Darren Ferris, the agent whose client list includes Maple Leaf star Mitch Marner. There's no team-friendly discount there. And he goes on to say, nobody else is taking a discount, and now you're asking Marner to take one again? It's nonsense, Ferris said. Mitch already did them a favor on his entry-level deal.
By not having to pay out certain bonuses, Schedule A bonuses.
Fart.
The reality is he didn't do them a favor. He got Darren Ferris Lou Lamoriello beat Darren Ferris in the negotiations. That's what happened.
This is how he ends the article. It's a Dave Feschuk article. You can look it up. Mitch will get what Mitch is due. But as far as the Maple Leafs, it's up to them how they value him. If it works out with them, it works out, Ferris said. We'll see at the end of the year what their position is and whether they're motivated to sign Mitch or not. It's totally up to them. You said that. We went in on it at the time. You can find our podcast from that day, but let me bring it up again because you forget a lot in half a decade. Your agent, you little Care Bear, your agent ruined your reputation permanently in this city and in a huge swath of this fan base that day. And you had the power to stop him. I don't care if you agreed with the message, didn't agree with the message. That's what your agent's job is. It's to that day, the same day, your friend, maybe, weird way to treat a friend, the same day your friend signs that deal, that bullshit comes out in the Toronto Star, and you drag it through the summer, and there's tweet after tweet from person after person. I'm going to get what I'm going to get. Show me the money. All that. And what have you done? Have you upheld your end of the bargain since signing that deal? Because listen, this is just what's good for business here. He's got a year left. And I have no interest in going through this experience again with his agent and the camp and the player trying to go, I got nothing to do with it. Fuck off. Enough. I have no interest in going through that again with his camp. I have no interest in the DMs. I have no interest in the media bullshit. It's time.
What
Let's
about
move on
the
here.
lack of scoring in the playoffs? Do you have any interest in that continuing?
Oh, you know what?
Get a lot more of that.
No, that's great. No, that's great. I want that too.
Okay.
I have to be honest.
Why do you want this?
Like fans?
No.
Oh, I don't.
Him.
Oh,
But
why
no,
does-
that's my point. Is
Why
I
does
don't.
Mitch want?
I don't-
Dude, you very visibly hate it here.
Yeah, and I think that's why Adam's correct in that it's going to be a parting of the
He,
waves.
he wants out, guys.
Mm-hmm.
That's my opinion. I'm of the opinion. I've heard enough.
Mm-hmm.
He's ready to go. And I think him not speaking to the media last night. You remember how he was? Let's just back it up here for
You wanted to speak to the media the day your friend signed a contract extension. Where were you last night?
Steve, let me just 6 weeks ago. You want to go off on something? Go off on this. 6 weeks ago, he comes back from injury.
Mhm.
How is he?
I don't remember him.
You guys, the way you guys speculated on it.
That's what you-
Oh,
Well, there's a lot of questions about.
but he's blocking out the noise. He's blocking out the noise.
So this is my thing.
This dude is gonna go deaf from how high he has the noise cranked up. You know what? Like, I always think the media stuff and the fan stuff and the pressure with Toronto is overblown. It is true that some people can't do it.
Yeah,
That's
100%.
enough.
Look, there's some
Honestly,
people
go
can't handle
somewhere else and win a cup. He might win a cup.
He's going to be
Oh, yeah.
great wherever he
and
goes.
real estate in Seattle or Utah is a lot cheaper than Toronto. Your money's gonna go further there if you want to buy a nice house.
Seattle's high, but it's not as high.
It's
as
not.
Toronto.
It's not Toronto high. It'll go further if you're trying to buy a nice
Real
home.
estate in his head is dirt cheap.
I have to tell you, the reality is Mitch Marner, in my opinion, what I hear, not coming back. And I think if I would like to know how the organization felt about the way he started the season, because he, you read the Jonas clip, right? So I'll read it to you again. Marner's poor start to the season was notable for how joyless he appeared, devoid of enthusiasm and energy, which is Marner's game. That's what he made.
Could he have started slow because he had to work his way back into full hockey playing ability because he took some of the summer to not train hockey?
I don't know. I would like to know.
I'm not going there.
I would like to know how the organization feels about that. I don't know how they do. And listen, Marner was a point a game. He just wasn't playing well.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is where
He gets his cookies, man.
you go, it's a parting of the ways. Great player in the regular season. There'll be teams lined up out the door to get him, even at that cap hit. Now, I will ask this question, and somebody asked me this on a stream, Vancouver-Nashville stream, when the games were boring, which was most of the games. What's his extension look like? And I kind of said, listen,
Elsewhere.
I don't understand. I don't know what the value is right now,
Okay.
but I don't see how this player gets a raise, not just here, but anywhere. I know they'll be looking for one. And if somebody trades for him with the intention of extending him, then they'll have to pay a raise. But I don't know market value-wise how a guy who we've seen cannot drive his own line in the playoffs. We've seen him not be able to do that. Patrick Kane, the reason Patrick Kane made $10 million before anybody else is because Patrick Kane on his own could drive a line. And that's hard to do as a winger.
He wasn't even the best Darren Ferris client on his line.
Darren, yeah.
It was Max Domi.
The centerman usually is the driver of play. If a winger can do it, then they're worth a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And Patrick Kane could. And Patrick Kane could do it in the playoffs. And Mitch Marner cannot.
Dude,
And-
Sheldon loading up, putting Austin with Mitch.
No.
Why?
What a waste of time.
Why? Just
so
put
bad.
Domi
What
out
a
there
waste
with
of
Matthews.
time.
Like,
Yeah.
what are we doing?
The
Domi, Matthews, Nylander. It's right there.
No, the Domi line with Marner was working.
Yes.
And when he threw Austin in there instead of Domi, it fell flat every time.
It was working. Like, bad things weren't happening generally when they were on the ice, but there was a little bit of perimeter merchant going on there.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I was talking about. Like, when I'm talking about the Leafs just running roughshod, around the perimeter, and Domi standing there with the puck, and no one's in front. And it happened to Mitch a few times. He's standing there with the puck, and no one's in front. And Tyler's like, "I'm trying, boys."
Right.
And like, he's the only one.
Yeah, I shouldn't say
It wasn't enough.
It's working in the sense that it was decent hockey, but it didn't produce results. I don't think that's implied because nobody could produce results outside of William Nylander.